The 2019 BC1 was just a few days ago, and there's a lot of things I want to talk about. But while talking to some of my crewmates after the jam, one question stuck out in particular. Why was Menno at BC1? What I mean by this is, whether you like Menno or not, his track record undeniably proves that he's one of the greatest breakers in the world right now. There's only a few dancers at his level, others being those like Issei, Thesis, Victor, and yet none of those people were at BC1. Looking at the bracket, it just seems like nobody at Menno's level was even invited. Lil Zoo and Phil Wizard can probably compete at that level, but the bracket was filled with up and comers to the international scene rather than established heavyweights. It's not really what I expected out of the BC1, and it makes me ask the question, what is the BC1 supposed to be? In the past, the BC1 was the jam where the greatest dancers in the world would meet up to battle for the title of world champion. Over the last few years, Redbull has been signing on winners of the BC1 onto their BC1 All-Stars. But this seems to have created a problem when it comes to their actual jam. Now that Redbull has signed all the top dancers, who's left to compete? It would be bad looks for Redbull if half of their jam was Redbull dancers, and looking at the All-Star roster, between Issei, Hongten, Victor, Wing, and of course Menno, there's not many people left in the world who can compete at this level. And if Redbull continues to sign the best dancers, this problem is only going to continue to grow. So what happens now? I think that Redbull needs to reframe what this jam is meant to be. This year it felt like it was watching a jam of up-and-coming dancers get crushed by a veteran b-boy with years of experience on the world stage. I think it's good to have a mix of experience levels at this jam, but it was hard to watch this year without feeling like the brackets were stacked in Menno's favor. So we have this problem of the BC1 being unsure on what skill level it's targeting. My thoughts are that Red Bull can refocus as a showcase for newer dancers on the international scene and move away from the best in the world theme. This could mean only letting up-and-comers, however you define that, in the jam, but I think that there's some opportunity for some interesting ideas. After all, you've got the world's best dancers on your roster, maybe you can lean into it. Maybe a top 16 where the initial seeding is up-and-comers versus the all-stars, or half the bracket is up-and-comers and half the bracket is all-stars, with the winner of each side meeting in the finals. Maybe a bracket of all up-and-comers, and then after the entire jam, the winner battles the reigning champ. Is that a fair battle? Obviously not, but I think it would make for a great story, especially if the challenger won that battle too. The winner wouldn't even have to win the battle to be invited onto the All-Stars, though that brings me back to another point. Should Red Bull be signing everyone who makes it to the top? Is this healthy for the scene? My gut feeling is no, but I haven't had much time to think about it, so maybe we'll come back to this topic some other time. That all being said, I also wanted to share some other thoughts on the jam that I wanted to bring up while we're talking about it. Firstly, should Meadow have won? I don't want to talk about the judging necessarily. Instead, I want to talk about the last 2 rounds that they went in the finals. To me, it felt like Menno knew he lost that 3-round battle, but felt like he could keep going or that there was more to be said. I'm kind of conflicted on this because on the one hand, I feel like this is the true b-boy's way of winning a battle, but on the other hand, both sides knew what the rules were going into this, and Menno decided to break them. But on the other hand, Killicolia went along with it, and they did battle those extra rounds. I thought Colia won every round, or close to it, but had a bad crash at the very end, which I think cost him the battle. So if they didn't go those 2 rounds, I think that Colia had a really good shot at winning the whole thing. So the question to me is, how should the rules have been handled in this situation? Is it raw and true to the nature of the dance to throw the rules out the window? Or is it devaluing the nature of fair competition? How did the judges handle it? Did they agree amongst themselves that they'd treat it like a 3-round or a 5-round battle? Or did they not even discuss it at all and they just judged without consulting each other? I don't think that these questions could have been reasonably answered on the spot, but I think someone should think about how we handle similar situations in the future. Secondly, I think it was a mistake to have Narumi on the judging panel when 2 of her crewmates were in the competition. I won't comment on whether or not she was biased, but having her judge the jam isn't fair to her crewmates, or their opponents. I don't think it's possible to be fair when you're judging close friends or literal family, because how do you even know what fair means in that situation? If you, as the judge, thought a battle was close, does that mean you should automatically give it to the other person in case you're biased? It's sort of a subjective calculus that shouldn't even be close to the judging process. In jams like Silverback, where Narumi has judged before, she stepped out and let someone take her place whenever her crewmates were battling, which I think was a good solution. But in an invite only jam like BC1, this is something that they could have foreseen and avoided completely. Anyway, those are my thoughts on the jam. If you have any thoughts, I'd love to hear them in the comments. Sorry if this video is a little unpolished. I was just trying to get it out as quickly after BC1 as possible. If you like the video, like, comment, subscribe, do all the YouTube things, and I'll see you guys next time.